Hey, Mark and AJ here from Whole Latte Love. We've got the Crem 1HX, and we're going to go through setup, right?
Yeah, in this video, it won't be a full review. We've got a review video on it, and we'll put a link down in the description to that. But this will be more of what comes in the box, how to set it up the machine initially, go through the menus, and things like that.
How to get it up and running. So Let's go to it. We'll go take a look at what's in the box. All right, so here's what comes in the box. We got the drain line right here. This will be on top of your machine when you take it out of the box. We have the water supply line. We'll show you how to hook this up. It is a plumbable machine, or you can run from reservoir. It's got the angled 2-spout portafilter, like that angle on that a lot. Then we have the 2 filter baskets, a 7 and a 14. And AJ, you found that you can go way over 14 in this, right?
Yeah, so I was using up to 18 grams in it. Depending on your grind size and your beans, you can probably fit more than that, more than 14 in there for sure.
Perfect. Or you can even buy other baskets if you wanted to. Then we have the blind basket or the backflush disc here. It also is going to come with these Ernex Puro tablets. You use one of these each in here to backflush the machine. And to keep your things clean, you got a group brush here so you can get up under the group and clean things up. All right, so when you get the machine from us, it's going to be set up to run from reservoir. So let's go through how you start up for that. First, I want to just show you underneath where there's a little mechanical valve here. We have it set to run from tank. The other option is tap down here. If we're going to run from the reservoir or the tank, we want it up there. All right, so that's all set. Now, I already took my reservoir out. When you get the machine, you're going to want to rinse out the reservoir. I've got some water in here. Goes in right here. Notice it can only go in one way. It's got this little edge right here. This is going to contact a switch that's going to let the machine know the tank is in, so you want to make sure that's in there properly. Okay, got that in. Now I'm going to get my machine plugged in. I love this nice heavy-duty cord. Don't spill any water when I flop this around. That's going to plug in right here. Then I've got some power down here, so we'll get this powered up. Pull it around. So when we turn the machine on, we'll go through a little startup routine in the display right here, and then the pump's going to come on and it'll start filling up that boiler. There goes that pump. Now, while that's filling, take a look at this. I really do like this drip tray a lot here. It's got that removable guy, so you can fit a scale in there, get a little more room for cups. We'll set that right in. And then we're using the double spout portafilter that comes with the machine. And AJ, we've got the...
Yeah, it's the 14-gram basket, but you can generally fit up to about 18 depending on your coffee and grind size.
So there you go. Now, this is part of the system. We want to have this in the group right here because we want that to get hot too. And the heat up time on a machine like this, usually about 20 minutes. And again, you want your portafilter hot as well. Now, I'm going to let this fill up, and one thing I do want to do here, since this is a heat exchange boiler, is make sure that the portion of that boiler, it's a tube inside that creates the water for brewing. Make sure that we have water in there. Because right now we're filling the boiler, but just to make sure, once it gets filled up here, we're going to lift the lever and just run some water through. It's also a way, it's a little trick if you want things to get heated up faster and you want to get your portafilter heated up faster, you just run some water through that, get some hot water going through that. It'll help you heat things up. So I'm just going to let that go until you see a nice flow of water from that. And that's all you got to do. Now, in about 20 minutes again, she'll be ready to brew. All right, let me show you how we plumb this machine. So we're going to connect a drain line and get this plumbed to water line. So a few things we're going to need here. This is the drain hose that comes with the machine. We'll attach that. We'll show you how that goes in. The line that's going to supply our water, this comes with the machine as well. This is something that we supply with every machine. This is a 3/8 compression to BSP, that's British Standard Pipe Thread, adapter so that you'll be able to get into your home plumbing. All right, so first thing we're going to do, we've got to flip the machine up. I do have a towel here. Oh, and these tools here, Phillips head screwdriver, 16mm 3/4, crescent wrench. If you don't have those, maybe a pair of pliers. So we're going to flip the machine up so we can get underneath. So I'm going to take off the drip tray and the cover for the reservoir here. We'll set those aside. Bring this towel over here so we can lay the machine on that. So we're going to tip it up backwards. All right. First thing we're going to do, so we want to run from tap. Right now we're at tank, so I'm just going to flip this switch down. Then we're going to connect the drain line here. Now you don't need to put anything on to clamp this. It's kind of a press fit deal, so just make sure it's up there and nice and snug like that, and then we're good to go. So now we'll turn the machine back up, and we'll show you the back end. Let me pull it around this way so we can get a better look at it. All right, so here's where our water connection is going to go. So we'll take this cap off. And hang on to that in case you need it down the road. Then this is the input line that comes with the machine. Now usually I can get these just hand tight and they seal fine. If you want to, you could take a pair of pliers and tighten it up a little bit. But I got strong fingers, so get it in there, right, AJ?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to lift it up a little bit so I get a little leverage on it here. And crank that down. That should be fine. Okay. And get it off the hose here. Okay. Oh, on this part. There we go. Okay. So for this, what we're going to do, this is that adapter again that we connect with it because this is a British standard pipe thread. So we're going to turn that in. And again, most of these you can get just by hand tightening. If you need to use a wrench, you can use what you got. I believe it's a 3/4 here. You don't have to go over the top with those. Okay. Then for my supply line, I've got that 3/8 inch compression coming. I'll talk about how we're feeding the water into this in a moment. Tighten that up.
And this one you do kind of want to wrench down a little, right?
Yeah. This one usually, the compression fittings usually need a little something extra. So I've got the 16 here and the 3/4. Depending on what you're using, the sizes could be a little different here. Okay. And there we go. So that's just running to our household plumbing. But let's talk about how we're getting water into this because we really recommend that you decrease the line pressure. So what we're using to feed this, what you can't see that's under the sink over here, is this BWT Best Max Premium. And what we have here is a pressure regulator. So we can adjust the pressure down. We like 2 bar of pressure minimum going into these machines. That's about 30 pounds per square inch. Home plumbing usually runs somewhere between 60 and 90, so you do usually want to reduce the pressure a little bit. I also really like this filter. It does a calcium to magnesium ion exchange, so you won't get scale in your machine if you use this. Very simple and easy to use. Now there's one other thing that we need to do. We need to go into the menu and tell the machine that we're coming from the tap or our water line. So let's go around and we'll do that. All right, so I plugged my machine in. I'm going to turn it on right now, and I just want to show you real quick a couple error codes before we go and tell the machine we want to run from the tap. So right now I've got A10 and I've got this symbol here. That's indicating my reservoir is empty, which it is. Another error code, if I was just to pull the reservoir, A11, that means my reservoir is not inserted. So we'll put that back in. But what we want to do is get into the technician's menu. So we'll turn the machine off. To get in, hold down the left button here, turn the machine on. And we'll just keep holding until we see the display CF01. Now we're going to cycle through. We'll talk all about what's in here in a minute, but there's a very specific one we want to go to. It's A01. We're going to change this. So that's if we're running from tank. That's if we're running from network, right?
Yep.
And so we want it set to N. And that's all we got to do. I'll just check that one more time. It's on N, so we'll just leave it right there. Then we turn the machine off.
And the reason we do that is because now if you turn it on, we won't get that error code because the machine knows it's running from a line. It doesn't care that the reservoir is empty, and you won't get that A10.
So everything's great. The machine's going to heat up. I am open to the pressure, but let me show you how to put that drip tray in so you can put that to a water line. All right, let's show you how to hook this up to the drain line. Now, we already hooked the drain line up to the machine underneath. The only other thing we really have to do is take a plug out of the bottom of the drip tray here. That's a Phillips head screw right here. I've already partially loosened mine so you don't have to watch me unscrew something here. There we go. Hang on to that. You might want that down the road. Then the drip tray, anything that ends up in the drip tray is going to go right through that hole, down into the cup, and down through the drain line. Now, very important with this drain line that you keep it below the level of the drip tray. So if you've got a kink in it and it's up here, it's not going to drain, right? Your tray could overflow. So do keep this below the level. Now, you could flop this into a sink if you wanted to. The real way to do it, if you want to put it in a more permanent way, is to go to what we call a stand pipe. That's a pipe that's open to outside air pressure so that it can drain properly. So you don't want to take this and hook it up like to one of those inlets for a dishwasher on a garbage disposal, that kind of thing. It will not drain. It's got to be open to outside air pressure to drain. So pretty easy to do to hook up to a drain line. All right, let's take a look at the display and the controls you have here. So right now we're seeing the current brew temperature in the machine. If you want to change that, really easy. Just going to press and hold on the right button here. We'll see T1. Now we can change the temperature. Now notice, this is not the actual brew temperature. It's the actual in-boiler temperature. It's going to come set at 247. There is a 45-degree offset. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So 247 is going to get you 202 at the group. So I like 247, so to stop that, just let the machine sit and it'll go back to showing me the temp. A couple other little things here. When the machine is actually energizing the heating element in this, so if my machine was heating up right now, this little icon would be lit totally. And when it's closer to temp, you're going to see little flashes. Those are little pulses of electricity going into the boiler to heat up the water. All right, so let's show you how to get into the technician menu. So to do that, turn the machine off, press down on the left button, turn the machine on while you continue to hold that left button until you say F.01 right there. F.01, that's the steam boiler filling timeout. It's going to be set to 90 seconds, so just leaving it there. That boiler filling timeout, what that means is the machine will attempt to fill the boiler for 90 seconds. If it doesn't accomplish that, you'll get an error code and need to figure out why it's not filling. Next up, we have F02. Not used on this machine, right, AJ?
Yeah, it just comes set to off and you can just leave it there.
So just leave that set to off just like that. Next up, F03, that's our boiler probe sensitivity. It's going to come set to medium.
Yep, you can also do minimum or maximum. If you have really soft water, you may want to set it to max, but generally for most people, medium, the way it comes is perfect.
Yeah, just increases the sensitivity so that probe knows there's water in there. Next up, F04. AJ, you know what this one is.
This one is
the timer, shot
timer.
This
is your shot timer. So I like to keep my shot timer on. That's the way it comes again from us. But if you, for some reason you don't want to see a shot timer, just turn it off.
But we like it on, so we're going to leave that on, and that's the way the machine will come. Next up is going to be A.01. This is for your water source. So this is going to come set to T.
Yep, T is for tank. That's if you're running off your reservoir. If you press the right button, it will go to N for network if you're plumbing it in. But for now, we're running off tank, so we will leave it there. If you go all the way to the left, it's D.
D.
That disables it. You don't need to do that. You just want to run off T or N.
So we'll leave that set at T because we're going to run off the reservoir or the tank. If you're going to plumb it in again, N. Next up, A02. This is the water tank filling timeout. Now, if you're running from plumbed in, you won't even see this if you have it set that
just
way.
Skip right over it.
But here, what you want, so what this means is 15 seconds is what that is. That's the amount of time that the machine will continue to brew even though it's detecting low water in the reservoir. 15 seconds is usually pretty good for that. Next up, A03, water tank filling delay, not used on this machine. It's going to be set at 10, no reason to change that at all. Just leave that there. Next up, H02, this is where you can set if you want Fahrenheit or Celsius temperatures.
Yep.
We're in the US, so we're going to set it to Fahrenheit. So we'll leave that there. That's the way it will come set. Now, after this, a lot of things you don't want to touch at all. So these are going to be the actual PID settings. So when you see T and then P, D, I, you don't want to change any of those. Bad things can happen.
Yep, just
so
leave it right where it is.
Leave those the way they are. B here, this is going to be set to 9. No reason to change that at all. And then next up, we're going to get to E. So this is that offset I mentioned up front. So this machine, when you set the temperature in the PID, it's going to be 45 degrees. So the offset is going to come set at 45 degrees. That means the water in the boiler is 45 degrees hotter than what you're going to get at the group. We've done a lot of testing and found out that's about right. So when you set a brew temperature on this machine, you're always subtracting 45 degrees. There may be some cases where you might change this if you're in a very hot or very cold environment, but really best just to leave that alone. And from there, we're back to F01. And if you want to cycle back through things, just keep pressing the left button. And then once you have everything the way you want it, just shut the machine off, turn it back on. and it should come up showing us the current temperature. Now the boiler doesn't heat while we're in that technician menu, so you're going to see the little icon here noting that the element in the boiler is on and heating up the water in there. And that's the technician's menu.
All right, so next up is your brew pressure check and adjustment. Now this isn't something you have to do, but you can do it if you want. We ship these machines with 10 bar pressure at the pump, which generally gives you 9 bar pressure at the group. So we'll set that ahead of time, but if you want to check it or change it, this is how you would do that. These are the things you'll need. One, obviously your portafilter and a blind filter basket, which comes with the machine. You'll want this in the portafilter, so one little trick to do that is just kind of pry off the edge, pop that in, and put it in your group. You'll also need a long, thin flathead screwdriver to access the adjustment screw for the OPV, and either a little sharp pick or a little roll of duct tape, and that's to get the plastic door off to access the screw. So I'll show you where that is. That's on the back here. And again, that's this little door right there. It's hidden behind a plastic. So you could pry that off, or I just like to take a little roll of duct tape or gaff tape and pop that off. Keep this nearby so you can have a cover on it if you want to. The adjustment screw for the OPV is up in there. You're probably not going to be able to see it too well, but you'll have to take your screwdriver and kind of go at an upward angle to it. And when you're adjusting that, if you turn it counterclockwise to the left, that's going to turn your pressure down. If you turn it clockwise to the right, that'll turn your pressure up. So I'll spin the machine back around, and I'll have Mark kind of help me out here.
Sure.
As I turn on my pump, you'll see my pressure go up.
Helps to have a friend.
Yes.
So on a vibration pump machine, you know, it takes a little bit, there's a ramp up to pressure here. So, okay, now we're up to the 10.
So I'm gonna take it down a little bit.
Okay.
So is that going down?
Yep. You're going down a little bit. So you're still kind of up there. There you are, you're about like 9.5.
All right, so if I wanted to go down, I could do that. Now, if I want to take it back up to 10, which is where I want to leave it anyway, spin it back the other way.
Back at 10.
Perfect. And shut your pump off. I'm going to take that little cover that I took off before and just kind of stick it back on. It has an adhesive on it, so it'll just stick right back on. I'll pop my other filter basket in there, and I'm ready to brew.
Let's talk about maintaining the machine. Specifically, we're doing some backflushing. There's a daily and a weekly routine to backflushing. For that, a couple things that came with your machine. The group brush is going to be great for cleaning off up in here. You're going to get 8 these tablets that you can use for backflushing. Of course, the machine did come with a backflush disc, so we're going to use that. Now, in daily use, what you want to do is attach your portafilter with the backflush disc in there, and then you're just going to lift the lever, let the machine run for 10 seconds.
That's nice because you got a timer up there anyway.
We have the timer. Yeah, I do like that. And there's our 10. Then we'll let it rest for 5 seconds. Yeah, that's about 5, right? Yeah. Okay. And then go another 10. And you're going to repeat this 5 times. I'm not going to do all 5. But again, 5 times, 10 seconds with the pump on, 5 seconds with it off. All right, now let's talk about what you want to do weekly. So these tablets did come with a machine right here. I'm not going to use these. I'm going to use Ernex Cafiza. Ernex makes these guys. It's the same stuff in here in powdered form. I'm also going to use this little, this is really handy. So it's a scoops brush also by Ernex, which allows you to easily measure out your stuff. So maybe pick one of these up for yourself. So you're just going to take a level scoop of this, put it into that blind basket, attach it to the machine, and then again, the same thing as you were doing daily, except we're just going to have the detergent in there, or the Cafiza. 10 seconds run, and 5 seconds stop, and you see all that gook. Our machine is actually pretty clean.
Yeah, but sometimes that may be kind of brown, and it's just coffee and coffee oils, and to be expected. Doesn't mean it's
nothing's wrong.
gross
That's
or
what's
dirty.
supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And so this is recommended on a weekly basis. I'd say, 40, 50 brew cycles, depending on how you get through those. I went a little long on that, not a big deal. So once you get that done, what you want to do, and again, 5 times with that, get out here. Here's a great time while you've got some detergent in there is to go up and use the brush to clean up in here. Again, if you pick up one of these Scoops brushes, it's got a really nice brush on the end of that. I'm just going to rinse this real quick over at the sink. And then to get any of that Kefitsa out of there, we're just going to repeat the back flush 2 more times, 10 seconds each, to get all of that out of there. And that'll help get rid of any of the stuff that we might have scrubbed off up in the group. Again, gotta love the timer. Helps you with it. So just 1. Let it sit for 5 seconds. That seemed like 5, okay. And 1 more time at 10 seconds. Kefitsa, I love, like one of these will last you about a year, probably. This stuff is also great. You can take, a few scoops of this, mix it up in a bowl of water. You can use it to clean your portafilters and your filter baskets. Keeps everything nice and shiny. So that's a basic back flushing maintenance on the Crem 1HX.
So I'm going to show you one cool trick on this machine for a kind of auto frothing way to do that. With your frothing wand, you can steam your milk just like normal, obviously, but because of this wide surface area here, you have the option to kind of rest your pitcher here, place your tip, and let it froth on its own. So I've already grinded into my portafilter. I've got everything set there. I'm not going to go into how to dial in, how to pull shots in this video, but there's tons and tons of videos on the channel about how to do that. So that's just going to lock in. I'm going to pour my milk into, I've got a Brewista pitcher right here. And the reason I like using this with this machine, I'm going to fill just under the spout in there. I like using this because it has this decal on it that has a temperature readout on it. So even if I'm not using my hands, I can see the temperature of my milk. So I am going to start my shot, purge my wand, get all the water out of that, and just kind of stick this in here so the tip is right above the surface of the milk there, and just open it. And you'll hear that hissing, and it'll start hissing, and as it expands, it's gonna cover the tip, the steam tip, and get that air mixed in, and then once it expands and covers it, it's just mixing everything up. I know my shot is done just about there, and then you'll see on the side here, when it gets to about 140 on the heat, I'm gonna stop it. See that start to creep up. And about there. I'm going to stop that. Wipe down the wand and purge that again just to get any remaining milk out of that. Give a couple taps on the counter to get any big bubbles out of our pitcher. And we'll see if I can pour something here. All right. So that's how you auto froth on the Crem 1HX.
AJ, really nice latte art
Thanks.
there. I see you didn't share any with me and it's gone.
I'll make you another one after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we wanted to share just a couple closing tips here on working with a machine like this. It is a heat exchange boiler. Yep. We want to turn over some water. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so if you are doing espresso and maybe just steaming all the time, but not drinking Americanos or pulling hot water from the hot water wand, you can sometimes get minerals that accumulate on the bottom of your boiler, and so you don't really want scale to build up. Sometimes you want to just cycle some water through the hot wand every now and then just to refresh the water in the boiler.
Doesn't take a lot to do that, right? Just a cup or so here or there.
Yeah.
But then other times you might just want to empty the boiler, like if you're going to store the machine or ship it, or it's going to be a really cold environment, or you just want to totally get all that water out of the boiler, just totally refresh. So.
Yeah, so we can show you how to do that. I've got a little bowl over here. And to do that, we want your machine to be up to temperature, because if it's not heated up, you won't get the extra pressure in the boiler that's going to force that water out. But if you just open this while the machine is on, it'll just keep auto refilling the boiler and you won't actually empty it. So
I turn it off.
You turn it off. I open the
hot
water valve.
It's going to get a little messy. The water's hot in there, so it's going to spray a little water on. But this is the way. So all this water that's coming out is coming from the bottom of the boiler and out of the machine. So a great way to do that. And now, after this, your machine would be ready to store.
Yep.
I mean,
or chef, or
yeah, I might open the group lever a couple times, just get any residual water in there, that kind of thing. But that's really about it. Now, of course, as always, if you have any questions, so you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
You'd let it keep going.
It was almost done.
Almost done. If you have any questions, use the comments. We're always here, more than happy to help you out with anything you need. Of course, we have a lot more videos on the Crem 1 HX. So, AJ, thanks for frothing. I'm going to get that nice latte art from you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you back here soon for more of the best on everything coffee, brought to you by Whole Latte Love.